Throughout the history of the Old and New Testaments, God entered into formal relationships with His people. The terms of these formalized relationships were often written down in what Scripture calls covenants, translated from the Hebrew word berit and the Greek word diatheke. These covenantal relationships resembled ancient international covenants, especially treaties between great emperors or suzerains and the vassal kingdoms that served them. These ancient treaties shared three features: the suzerain's benevolence toward his vassal, the loyalty the suzerain required of his vassal, and the consequences that would result from the vassal's loyalty or disloyalty. And these treaties or covenants continued throughout the generations, so that the successors of the vassals would continue to serve the successors of the suzerains. In a similar fashion, God's covenants record His benevolence toward His people, explain the requirements of the loyalty they owe Him, and describe the consequences for loyalty or disloyalty to those requirements. Now, in the record of humanity's creation, in Genesis chapters 1 through 3, the Hebrew doesn't use the term berit, and the Septuagint, the early Greek translation of the Old Testament, doesn't use the word diatheke there either. As a result, some theologians deny that the relationship between God and Adam can rightly be called a covenant. Even so, Scripture strongly suggests that God made a covenant with Adam and with the rest of humanity through Adam. For one thing, God's relationship with Adam contained all the normal covenant elements. God was clearly a sovereign superior king over Adam. And as we saw earlier in Genesis chapter 1 verse 28, God appointed humanity as His vassal or servant kings and instructed them to rule over creation on His behalf. Additionally, God's relationship with Adam included God's benevolence, the requirement of Adam's loyalty, and the consequences for Adam's obedience or disobedience. We'll look at these covenant elements more closely in a moment, so for now, we'll simply point out that the presence of these elements demonstrates the existence of a covenant relationship. For another thing, God's covenant relationship with Adam is assumed later in Genesis in the account of Noah. In Genesis chapter 6 verse 18, God told Noah, "I will establish my covenant with you." Here, the word establish translates the Hebrew verb kum. This is the normal word for confirming an existing covenant. The normal verb for creating a new covenant is karat. So, when God said that He would establish His covenant with Noah, He meant that He would confirm with Noah a covenant relationship that already existed. And God's relationship with Adam is the only relationship in Genesis that would appear to be in view here. This interpretation is confirmed by Hosea's reference to Adam's covenant.